Welcome to I Start First podcast. And today's episode is nothing short of iconic. The guest I have for you is an international designer. She's extraordinary human being, a total boss diva, and she has created absolutely unbelievable handbag brand from scratch. You want to stay in to learn what it's like to build an ego-free business. What does it really take to have a brand that becomes a local icon? And you definitely want to give a listen to me and my guest, Sage Aubrey. Hi, loves. Welcome to I Start First podcast, the show for boss babes who start ideas, businesses, dreams, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Alenka Cullinan, founder of I Start First, speaker, author, and business coach, aka Queen of Pushing Boss Babes Off the Ledge. On this show, I chat with epic humans who are guaranteed to uplevel your business and mindset. Are you ready to sparkle up? Let's go. Hello, ladies, and welcome to I Start First podcast for boss babes who start. And boy, are you in for a treat today because the guest we have is absolutely extraordinary. She is just as extraordinary as her brand. She's a local icon, unbelievable businesswoman, and absolutely stunning human being and designer of exceptionally beautiful, luxurious bags. So welcome, Sage. Aubrey. Hi, darling.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me today. It's always my favorite thing in the world, connecting with moms, but also moms that are like business owners. It's just, I feel like we are so in sync with one another. So it means the world to me. And I love getting out there and speaking to as many moms as I possibly can about just getting out there and trying to kick butt in whichever way that you can.
Oh, I love it. Yes, that's what we do as moms, right? We kick butt in all the ways possible. But tell them a little bit more. I mean, I know your story a little bit and what really went into building your brand. But one thing that I Start First prides itself on is kind of the raw and the real story. So I absolutely love everything you stand for. So I know it's a long process, but just kind of a cliff version. How did it all come to be?
Yeah, so my name is Sage Aubrey, and I'm the designer and founder of Sage Aubrey handbags. What's interesting about my brand was as I got into this industry deeper and deeper, meaning meeting more fashion executives, getting into large retail, so on and so forth, I started to notice a disturbing trend in this industry. And it felt like these executives that I met were really derogatory toward women regarding selling to them, marketing to women. When I would go in for these large appointments, the overall cast of them was that my product should be cheaper because my goal shouldn't be selling one handbag to a woman at a time, to be selling them at least 3 handbags at a time. And I remember thinking across the table, respectfully looking at them and being like, that doesn't really make a lot of sense because I don't know the last time I've ever gone in and bought 3 handbags at one time. And then they would go on to say women just want cheap stuff, da 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 da, this and that. So, as I started to have more and more meetings where I felt like these people at the top of very large organizations were really derogatory and lacked a lot of respect and understanding of what women really want and deserve, I started to really question what I was doing in this industry, period. I was like, as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty much a part of the problem, just like every other brand out there right now. And so I was accepted to a program at the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York last year. It was a really intensive 6-month program where we basically built out our business models. But on top of that, I got the opportunity of being mentored by some of the largest CEOs in the fashion industry. And one specific woman I really connected to, and I started to share with her all of my findings about this industry and how I really didn't identify with this industry. And I felt like I was a huge part of the problem. And I built my brand to instill confidence in women, but yet these large institutions do everything they can to intimidate and disrespect women.
Mm-hmm.
So as all of this started to unfold, I decided to do my thesis in this program that I was in last year on luxury brands. So as I started to walk into all these luxury brands and start doing a lot of due diligence and research on these brands, I started to notice a disturbing trend that it's really intimidating and scary to walk into luxury stores. So one specific day I walked out, I went to a meeting with my mentor and I said, I want to know, why do luxury brands make you feel so like vulnerable and insecure when you're in their store? Like, I can afford a luxury handbag, as can a lot of other women, but why is it that I feel like when I walk into this store, I can't, and I'm not dressed well enough, and I'm being judged from the moment I walk into that store?
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, well, why don't you research it? So long story short, I started to research luxury brands and how they market and sell. And one of the psychologically most, the quickest way to get someone to purchase is also what the fashion industry does, is the same thing that the car industry does. And that's through intimidation. They set it up from the moment that you walk through those doors, you walk through the security guards, to you're being judged and eyed up by the sales representatives. The way they set up the store, the coloring in the store, the lighting in the store is all built around intimidating you, because the more vulnerable you feel, the quicker you are psychologically, because we want to be accepted.
Yeah.
So we are quicker to make a purchase when we feel vulnerable and intimidated and judged into something, because we want to feel accepted into this luxury society. Yeah. And so as I started to find all of this, excuse my French, I thought it was so fucked up. I was like, this is the most fucked up, manipulative thing I've ever heard of. It was mind blowing for me.
Yeah.
So I took it one step further and I was like, wow, okay, so if you look at what luxury brands have manipulated us to think is cool or luxury, it's this disconnection of women, where women literally, we look at someone wearing this designer handbag and we're like, oh shit, we can't talk to her because she is too pretentious, too snobby, too cool, too whatever, and they cast this era of themselves, which at the end of the day is insecurity. And I found that women are the most powerful when we're building community, we're connecting, and we're approachable. And so I was like, okay, I don't have to be a part of the problem in this industry. I can actually be someone who's going to stand up for women. I can market to them. We can also reframe the way we look at a luxury handbag. Yeah. And I wanted to be the brand that did that. And so everything that Sage represents is connection, community, being iconic, what being iconic looks like, which I think is being approachable, which is also powerful. And really at the end of the day, when someone looks at a Sage Aubrey handbag in this community that we're starting to really disrupt and build, people are starting to realize like, oh my God, that's my girl. Like I don't have to feel disconnected from her. She's not too cool. She's not unapproachable. She's actually approachable, ready to connect. Yeah. And ready to build community and success. And so what's interesting is what I've done, and when I went through this thesis and mentorship program that I was in last year, I was like, that's it. Like, women deserve to feel respected and rewarded in the marketplace. And I say women, men are a part of that, but women, we capture 85% of the consumption. So I just say women because they treat men the same exact way when they walk in the door, but it's for the large percentage that's doing all the purchasing. And we really carry the purchasing power. And I think women deserve to know, like, and I talk about it a lot through my Instagram and my stories, like, if you feel intimidated and vulnerable and insecure, that's a really ugly sales tactic. And it's okay to walk out.
Absolutely.
It's okay to say, you know what? I actually deserve to be respected. I've saved to get in here. It's my birthday. I graduated from college, or I just got my real estate license, or whatever it is. We're rewarding ourselves when we walk into these stores, and we deserve to be respected for that. And so Sage Aubrey offers luxury quality handbags at attainable prices. and a personalized shopping experience so you feel respected, rewarded, and like the modern icon you are. So we are
Gosh.
disrupting. Yes. So
I
we're
am literally
disrupting.
like at the edge of my seat at this point. I love, love, love everything you just said. I mean, ladies, if you're listening, gosh, she just gave you so many golden points right there, golden stars forever. I mean, everything you said, you absolutely nailed it. It is insane how intimidated it is. It is insane how it's somehow become the cool kids club and the very thing that we're working on breaking cliches and stereotypes about women, while luxury brands essentially are building those stereotypes. And
Yeah. And the sad part is that they know that it's dirty work. They know
100%.
what they're doing is not right, but they also know they monopolize the market. So they're like, they'll come back. So although they feel like shit,
Yeah.
they'll come back. And I just think that more and more women deserve to know and understand that they carry the power, and we're too smart to be treated like this anymore. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. Like we are.
Yeah.
We're connected.
Yeah.
All of us as a community are making more money than we ever have. And
Mm-hmm.
whether it's we have full-time careers or side hustles, everyone's essentially making money today.
Yeah.
And I think it's time that people and brands, and the more women that get to the top and fight to be there, stand up for their kind. And if there's something that you don't agree with in your industry, you don't have to. And I didn't know that getting into the game. I started building this business just like every other fashion business builds their business, and that's to market to women that our product is so cool and so great and so exclusive, you're lucky to be wearing it, when really it's the total freaking opposite.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, everything you stand for is iconic for sure. But, a lot of things that we teach women, specifically with I Start First brand, that I teach women when I work with clients or in boot camps is, the nitty gritty. And I know a lot of them think that a lot of fashion is very fashionable and very exciting and very enticing, and it seems like such a glam. I mean, I'm sure a lot of girls who haven't been in the industry and a lot of women who are looking from the outside in on Sage Aubrey's Instagram think, oh my God, it must be amazing to be her. She's glamorous on the daily. She's doing, and I know you do a great job in your story showing sort of the real deal, what happens behind it. But share a little bit on terms of building the brand, because like I said, a lot of women, unfortunately, with same ideas behind that with fashion, think it's just this glamorous affair where you decide to build your brand and they come.
Yeah, no, it's the complete polar opposite. I actually, so from the moment that I decided to start building Sage Aubrey was in second quarter of 2012. And interestingly enough, I read an article on Rebecca Minkoff, and I was like,
Mm.
she kind of humanized it for me. She seemed like a normal chick who had built a successful handbag brand. And I was like, you know what? I had been in the industry for a long time. I had owned stores and did like a bunch of different stuff. So I felt like at the time I was ready
Mm.
to go on to this next venture, essentially. And that was getting in on the other side of the business. So I went in, I did not know how to sample. I didn't know anything about the industry. I knew everything about retailing, merchandising, running stores, that whole bit, an online shopping website, but I didn't know how to get in on the other side of the business. And let me tell you, this is even before Instagram really made a democracy of fashion. So it
Mm.
kind of made like anyone can come in and start a fashion company and like put it up on Instagram. So that happened in about 2015, 2016. But when I started building Sage Aubrey, Instagram was not around. And this is not like an open door policy kind of business. This is
Mhm.
like you come in, and if you haven't protéged with somebody, and if you don't have a huge reputation or major distribution behind you or some major funder, you're essentially like snail shit. Let's be honest. And that's where I started. I started fighting for myself from the bottom up. Everyone told me, I didn't even know that you had to like make samples. I thought I just sketched something and then like brought it into a manufacturer. And it took me from the moment that I met the first sample maker manufacturer, which was I originally wanted American made product. And that was in 2012. And it took me almost 4 years of constant no's, constant rejection, constant bad sample makers, samples going missing, working with the wrong partners in other parts of the world, traveling all over the world to try to find the right strategic partners, because nobody wants to take on an emerging brand. Nobody. Everyone's like, you guys fail. We're not going to invest in you. And honestly, today, I don't blame them because I understand the industry better and how difficult it is. But at the time, I was like, God, like no one's giving me a break here. And everyone would be like, these suck, they're ugly, you should just go hang out with your husband, you should really think about something else. And it was really, if you think about, almost 4 years is a really long time to be in the trenches, to be trying to convince people to go from one bed manufacturing partner to the next, just to launch a sample collection. So I eventually launched my first sample collection with the Italians it was December of 2015. So it was essentially like over 3.5 years from the moment that I had started. So, sometimes it really, but what's interesting about the time that it took me in order to finally launch a sample collection was that I took the time to build something that was quality, that was unique, that stands a difference between other brands that are just copying people and doing the same things and just switching up leather or switching up, whatever it is. So it's really important that people and women and whoever's out there build with integrity, because it stands out. Yeah. It really does. Like when I got my first break with my first big buyer that bought the whole entire collection, she was like, I have so much respect that you've taken so much time and you've put so much integrity and thought and quality into your product. And she's like, we don't see that every day. Everyone's just trying to get in and get out, like get in, create something, try to get it sold, and then, get out of the whole game. So that's something to really consider. But I am not this has not been an overnight success. Yeah. This has been one failure, jumping from one failure to the next, and just literally waking up every single day and saying, how am I going to be better? How am I going to take this brand to the next level? How are we going to elevate what I do? How do I get more and better, closer connected to my customers? Yeah. How do I become a better leader myself? So, I have taught myself everything. Essentially I've built this company with like the support of my husband, but really this company has been built off of me waking up every single day and this desire to be better.
I love it. I mean, ladies, this is right here, the whole line. If you walk away with anything from this podcast, it's how do you wake up every day with desire and actions? Obviously, you've put in actions to be better. Yeah. And I want to ask you real quickly, just on the same note, failure. So many women. 3 years is a long time. If you've never built anything, to those of you who are listening and it's brand new, 3 years is a long, long time. It's definitely, you've put in sweat equity, no doubt. How do you stay in the game? Like what did you say to yourself? What did you do because I'm sure there were many times where you just were like, done. I can't take another no. This is just crazy. So how did you push yourself go through all that?
So a huge part of my story that we have not talked about yet is in 2010, my husband got a job opportunity in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And I'll try to put this into a little peanut shell. But so I closed all my stores at that time. I was newly married. My husband and I moved over there. And I have always worked and been a hustler. Like I'm not someone who can't work and be not trying to fulfill a goal. It's just not in my blood. And so I get over there and I'm like, what am I doing in this foreign country? I know nobody. It's kind of still really dangerous over there at that time because of all the terrorist attacks between Indonesia and everything. And so I was like, I can't even go outside and do anything. Like, what am I going to do? So one particular day when I was feeling very down in the slumps and really wondering what the heck I was doing over there, I went to the bookstore and I ended up picking up a book called Half the Sky, Turning Women's Oppression into Opportunity. Long story short, because of that book, at the end of the book, basically the book accounts different atrocities that are committed onto women and girls globally. So heavy stuff like sex trafficking, intergenerational prostitution, child brides, the whole kit and caboodle. I wrote a couple of the founders in the back of the book who had organizations between Kuala Lumpur and India and Thailand. And I just introduced myself and I said, this is what I have to offer. I'm over here on this part of the world. I would love to be of help to your organizations. And one particular organization had got back to me straight away, APNIAP Women Worldwide. She runs an organization, an anti-sex trafficking organization throughout India. She invited my husband and I to her action centers in India, which was only like an hour and a half flight from where we were living at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And after day one, I was like, I need to do something here.
Yeah.
So I spent the next 2 years doing groundwork and advocating against sex trafficking and raising money, which ended up having me sit on the panel at Clinton Global Initiative, speaking about the issues that plague women and girls globally that so many people don't recognize or see, and how difficult it is to raise money for like anti-sex trade and stuff like that. It's very complicated. So I have these stories of these women and girls that sit within me. I'm a changed woman because of that time that I'd spent giving of myself and my resources and my time. And I think about them on my hardest day. I'm like, if they could trade places with me on my hardest day, they would be like, this girl has it made. And I saw such a lack of opportunity because there's no such thing as opportunity over there. Yeah. There's in severely impoverished communities, girls are so severely neglected. It's terrible. And so I have this thing in me that I'm like, one, I have their stories and their strengths that sit with me. Two, my ultimate goal for Sage Aubrey is to be a brand that gives back to women and girls globally. And three, on my hardest days, I'm like, if they could trade places with me, they would in 2 minutes. And that strength of those women are what's basically gets me through any hard day that I have. So I feel like I came into this with this armor that's like, you can't fuck with me because I've got greater work.
Right.
I've got greater work that I'm trying to get back to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's no ego. So when you have no ego and you're like, I've taken this off of the want for Sage and the need for how we need to push forward in the Western world for our girls in other parts of the world that don't have the opportunity to do what we get to do. Because I think the more successful we are over here, it's going to trickle down. It's going to take 20 years for our girls to be freed in the other parts of the world. But if all of us aren't over here fighting with opportunity, then it's never going to happen over there.
Right.
So that is a huge nugget of my story. It is giving back and helping women is my driving force.
Yeah,
so, inspiring women over here is really important to me, but also inspiring women globally is something that I have my eye set on. So that's
I love it. No, I love it. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, I actually went to India a year and a half ago. So 2 years ago now at this point. So yeah, I've seen some pretty insane things. And absolutely, as a matter of fact, I took one of my closest girlfriends with me. And when we came back and people would complain to her, she would say, you know what, just buy a plane ticket and go to India. Literally, she would use that phrase all the time because, we have no idea. I mean, I've seen some destitute poverty. I've never seen anything like it was there. And we were in some of the most beautiful and developed parts because I went there for work and running my brand. And, it was just crazy seeing most luxurious hotels and just have such a separation and having women being that second caste. And I've experienced that, but and that for sure, it definitely made me think when I came back, because when I was there, just being, not being able to go the area we were in the airport, we were not able to go through the same security gates as men. And I've lived in Western world my whole life. So having reminders of how far behind some of the countries are. And like you said, that if they could trade places with us, they would do it in a heartbeat. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's definitely such a great reminder. And obviously your why is huge, and that's what's driving you. And to all the ladies who are listening, I hope you realize that it's that factor. Like when your why and when your work becomes bigger than you, like Sage said, if there is no ego, everything in your life is going to change. Because if you're driving and leading from your heart versus your ego, that on your worst days, you're still going to stand up. You're still going to get up and get going, and you're just going to brush it off and say, how can I do better? So I love that about you. I mean, obviously it's a huge piece of your story, and thank you for sharing it. I mean, it definitely gives such a huge perspective to your brand as a brand, because not only you're empowering women here, but you're now looking at becoming a part of global, battle, and a part of global solution simultaneously. So I see some of the bags back there. I am eyeing them from over here. They're absolutely gorgeous. Do you want to bring one up close to show the ladies? Because we
Sure.
are going to be on YouTube. So now if you're just,
Yes,
if you're
this is my little micro baby. Oh my
I am obsessed. And your scarves, girl, can we just talk about the scarves that go with that? I'm like, I literally would wear this on my ponytail, on my neck. I mean, they're the
yeah.
cutest.
Yeah, they're definitely multifunctional. I just think it's such a fun way to add a scarf to a bag when you're like, okay, I'm kind of bored with my bag, but now you can just like step it up again and refresh it. I think
Yep.
it's just like a great way to refresh your bag.
Yeah.
But this is this tiniest one in my collection. This is the micro mini Luna. So she's just the baby, but I don't know if you can tell, but just the quality of the
Oh my
craftsmanship is
God, it's
incredible.
gorgeous.
The shape is this is our iconic shape. This is the shape that got me well known into the market. But and this one comes with a little crossbody shoulder strap, so she's like just the cutest little like micro. She's adorable.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love it. And I mean, this color too. Can we talk about pastel, that little pastel petal pink? It's amazing. I mean, first of all, I love anything pink. Everybody knows that. But I mean, ladies, if you're listening now, I know I want you to actually go switch to YouTube just so you can go see Luna that she just showcased for us, because it's amazing. How did you come up with that? I mean, I love your shapes. They're gorgeous. They're just absolutely a standout, in your face, super bold and beautiful. What made you go for that?
When I started, so after like multiple rejections from so many different manufacturers and sample makers, this one specific a-hole was like, this is what you need to do. You just need to, and he had this Italian Arabian accent, which I can't even, if I could do the accent, I would, because it just makes for a better story with the accent. But essentially, in his like broken English, he's like, you need to go to Louis Vuitton, pick out your favorite style. Basically, we'll just knock it off and stamp your name on it. Okay. So
What?
I had this one. This was one of the gentlemen that I was working with through the process that was just wasn't a waste of time because he taught me a lot. But
Mhm.
he was just one of the assholes that, I mean, there's so much ego in this industry, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
So I I walked away from that meeting with him and I was like, whoa, hold on. If this is what I'm getting myself into, like I'm just gonna go and like knock off bigger brands and put my name on it. I was like, this is not why I got into doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
So that moment was an eye opener for me because I was like, I need to go and do some better research and come back here a little bit not so green and naive.
Mhm.
And so I started to research all of the large brands like Louis Vuitton, Hermes, da 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 da, all of them, Givenchy, Celine. And I was like, what did these guys do? Like, why are they so iconic? What made them stand out? And essentially, if you put one of their bags a mile away, you would be able to pick them out from the crowd
Mm.
because they have a really identifying signature. So I was like, oh, that's what I need to create. I need to create a signature shape in my collection, or whether it was a signature shape or a signature leather or whatever it is. So for me, I was like, I think I can find a really cool shape. So
Mhm.
honestly, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. I literally went to the construction store. I went and bought construction paper and all of these like widget rulers. And I was like, somehow I'm going to be able to craft something out of this. And because at the time the CAD systems, I didn't know how to use AutoCAD systems.
Mhm.
And so I was like, I can use my hands. I was like, I can build something. So I started toying around with all the handbags that I had owned. And I just started building out shapes that I thought would be really cool. And I would hold them up to my body. And one specific shape was sort of like this. It had this angle at the bottom. And
Mhm.
I'm like, I think I can craft something really beautiful out of this shape because it looked really pretty on like the female form. So I put it on my form, put it on my
Mhm.
sister, put it on my mom, and I was like, okay, I like this
Mhm.
shape. So that's when I had spent like nearly 6 months. I mean, obsessively waking up in the middle of the night. I'd be like, that's the centimeter that I need to change to get the proportions here. And that's how I need to get this proportion. And literally, it was through crafting this construction paper into 3D model. I mean, I probably recrafted that thing 1,000 times. I'm over 1,000 times. And then from that point, I was like, okay, I've got these beautiful 3D bags. Like I built out a whole collection of like construction paper bags. And so that was at the point that I started really like getting serious about sampling them and going through the sampling process of them. But really, what I learned through the whole process of it was that one, it takes a really, really long time to craft a really beautiful product. You know,
Mm.
like my first samples, I wish I had them in here to show you, were really ugly. And I think what it really takes is someone being confident enough in themselves to say, okay, today this kind of sucks, but I'm going to keep working on my craft and I'm going to get better at it every single sample, every single season, every single pitch, like whatever it is, you know?
Mhm.
You can start off by sucking and you just have to put the time into yourself and have the confidence to fight for yourself and to keep coming back to bat when the shit is ugly. One day, if you put enough time and energy into it, you can do anything. I truly believe that because I am a 100% self taught designer and entrepreneur and all of the things. So, and what I started at was not great. It
I
sucked.
love it.
And
I
everyone told me that. And I knew it sucked, but I also knew I wanted to be great.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing. You kept going. You didn't stop. You kept showing up. And I know you've brought it up a few times. And I really want to make an emphasis on that for all the ladies who are listening. It's that it's being willing to work on you. What Aubrey said so many, I mean, we just talked about it. You know, Sage Aubrey brand, like she said, didn't start with something this magnificent that we are looking at now. And becoming a master, that was Sage showing up day in and day out, day in and day out, and working on herself. And that's the thing about building yourself into any type of mastery, whether it's your brand or your business or you be an entrepreneur, your career or your whatever, you know, whatever is your goal to master that, you just have to show up every single day and keep working on you. I absolutely love the fact that you recognize that, because so many times, you know, it's so much easier to start pointing fingers and pointing blame and, you know, looking for another right tool. But the reality, it all starts from you. I mean, if you are not going to be better for you, then no amount of tools or strategies or coaches or anybody will save you if you're not willing to put in the work. So I absolutely love it. Gosh, I mean, I got so many goosebumps from listening to all of this. But I know there are women out there who are listening right now who are loving everything you're showing them, and they still are in disbelief that you're self taught, just like I am. When I saw you first and heard your story for the first time, I was honestly in disbelief that it's something this extraordinary. And but that just, it gave me a whole new appreciation for how much work you truly have put in to create this brand and continue to put in daily. So if there is a boss babe out there who is listening right now and saying, I hope one day I'm going to be just like Sage Aubrey, what would be, but she's at very beginning stages. So she just has that crazy dream that makes her wake up in the middle of the night, and she's gotten a lot of no's. What would be one advice you would give her?
You know, I think the most important thing is, I think something that I had recognized like 3 or 4 years into the game was I came in really confident. And then as so many people started to tell me no, and that I was going to fail and that it wasn't possible and that da 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 da, my mind shift was always like, I didn't even realize I was doing this, but this is really important because the moment I kind of broke through this sort of mindset was when I started to really take, and I've always been full of action, but I would ask myself, what if I fail? I had this plan B, and the plan B was, what if I fail? And I didn't realize that I had this mindset that even though I was full of confidence and I was a beast, like I wake up, I work every single day, but it was always like I had this thing in the back of my head that I would ask, like, what if I fail? And I didn't realize that that was also limiting me. And that might sound crazy. I'm not some fucking guru. I'm just telling you, like, I had this mindset and there was a plan B there. And the plan B was, what if I fail? And then I went to this networking event. This random chick spoke. Wasn't like anything mind-blowing. And I remember walking out of this networking event and I was like, I will never again ask, what if I fail? I am going to ask, how am I going to win? And I literally, that was at the beginning of 2018. And every single day until I like mastered myself into like retraining the way that I thought, I literally had woken up with a different energy that next day. And I thought I was a beast before that. And something shifted in me where all of a sudden it was like, how am I going to win? And it's interesting how much a mindset can actually hold you back because for whatever reason, you need to open your heart up.
Yeah.
And if you are broken down and you feel defeated, it's something to find a way to master yourself out of that. And if Tony Robbins that can help you with that, I watched and done a lot of his like confidence building stuff just through YouTube. You don't have to go and pay for some crazy mastermind.
Yeah.
But get a hold of your mindset.
Yeah.
And fail forward constantly and go forward and naively, because everything that I've ever learned that's made me really good was all the really challenging like time frames in building this brand.
Yeah.
Like it's what builds you, it's what makes you stronger. You've got to fight for yourself, you've got to own your power, but you don't know to do that until you go through epic failures over and over and over again. And those failures are what craft you.
Oh God. I literally just felt like I went to church. And whether you go to church or not, I mean, mic drop, amazing. And that line, gosh, we might just name the episode after that line, you know? It's not about what if I fail, it's how am I going to win? I mean, ladies, like write this down, laminate that, put that in your wall, put that in your phone. I'm actually going to put that in my phone now that I heard that. Amazing.
Shift something. Like, honestly, it really makes a shift. And I think that we as women, we don't realize we carry so much with us all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes we've got to be like, it's okay to ask, how am I going to win?
Right.
Not this mindset that women have going into a lot of things. It's like, what if I fail, or I'm so nervous, or I'm not perfect, or da 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 da. It's like, no, how am I going to win?
That's right.
Everyone needs to ask themselves that.
I am literally loving fangirling over you right now. It's amazing. Honestly, thank you. Ladies, I hope you are seriously taking notes. I would go and re-listen to this episode. I would go rewatch it so you can see Luna and the beautiful scarf that you saw earlier. Go see both. Listen to this a few times because there's so many just incredible points that absolutely are life-changing. And I love what you said earlier about Tony Robbins, and it goes the same for this podcast, goes for the same of so many experts. You don't need to pay for crazy anything. You can go and listen to these things, write them down, practice them, because that's the thing. If you're not going to apply all these beautiful nuggets, nothing's going to change, right? Like this whole new year, new me hashtag happening right now. Like I'm all up for that if you're going to put the work in. If you're just using the hashtag and just writing things down in your pretty new journal that you got just for this year, nothing is really going to change. So Sage Aubrey, iconic brand, local icon. You are everything and then some. I am so grateful for you giving us your time today, and to the ladies who are listening and watching. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are really amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. This is a great step out of what I do on a day-to-day basis. So, and thank you for allowing me and trusting myself and my brand enough to introduce it to your brand, because that means a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to I Start First podcast. If you loved it as much as I did, feel free to tag us on Instagram at IStartFirst_. Share it with your besties, and if you feel so compelled, give us that 5-star review on iTunes. Till next time, and like always, kick ass and sparkle up.